There's a number in one driver's head. It's not a lap count. It's not a points total. It's an age. For years, that number sat quietly in the background of a legendary career, tied to a promise made almost a decade ago. A promise about walking away from NASCAR for something else entirely. Fans forgot about it. Insiders moved on. Reporters stopped asking about it during press conferences, but that promise never actually disappeared. It just waited, quietly, for the right moment to resurface, buried under years of championships and controversy. He's a two-time champion. He's currently riding a winless streak longer than any stretch in his career. And around him, a family is growing up faster than he expected. Kids who are starting to race themselves, on the same short tracks he once dominated as a teenager decades ago. What he said next didn't just surprise fans. It rewrote that decade-old promise entirely, and reopened a conversation nobody expected to return in the middle of 2026. That driver is Kyle Larson, and this season, he's mid-year at Hendrick Motorsports, still chasing his first win since Kansas Speedway in May 2025. That drought has stretched across dozens of races, through short tracks, super speedways, and road courses, without a single checkered flag to show for it, despite consistently strong finishes. The backdrop for this story is the Brickyard 400 on July 26, 2026. A champion searching for form in front of a national audience at one of NASCAR's most historic venues. But Larson isn't just fighting for wins right now. He's quietly revealed something about his own future that nobody expected him to say out loud, in the middle of a season already filled with pressure. Before going further into this story, this channel, NASCAR Insider TV, is closing in on 1,200 subscribers. And if you're the kind of fan who follows every twist of Larson's career the way we do, hitting subscribe helps this channel keep bringing these breakdowns to you first, as soon as the story develops further. Rewind to 2018. A younger Larson stirred real controversy by saying he wanted to leave NASCAR before turning 40 to chase a full-time sprint car championship, a goal he'd carried since childhood. NASCAR-only fans pushed back hard, accusing him of treating the Cup Series as nothing more than a stepping stone toward dirt track glory, rather than a career he was fully committed to for the long term. Larson defended himself publicly at the time, insisting his commitment to stock car racing was genuine and not a temporary arrangement he'd abandon once convenient. His own words were direct. "The fans who think I don't like this are crazy." That defense became chapter 1 of a promise fans never let go of, one that would resurface almost 8 years later under very different circumstances. Fast forward to 2026, and the milestone he once used as a countdown clock is now something he's describing in a completely different way. In his own words, "I started saying this last year, but 40 is my next milestone. I want to get there, and then evaluate if I want to keep going or be done. It all depends on where my kids are in their lives and interests." This isn't a countdown to sprint cars anymore. It's a checkpoint tied entirely to family, with no fixed outcome attached to it, and no promise of what comes after. That shift becomes even clearer when Larson addresses the dream he once chased so publicly. He said it plainly, "As far as competing for a sprint car championship, I would say right now in 2026 that I have changed my mind on that." This isn't a driver walking away from dirt racing altogether. His resume makes that claim impossible. He's won 3 Knoxville Nationals, 3 Chili Bowls, and a King's Royal, some of the most prestigious titles dirt racing offers anywhere in the country. He didn't abandon that world, he simply outgrew the need for a championship inside it, choosing selective appearances instead of a full points chase. His reasoning was just as direct. "I just don't know what a championship would add to my career, so I'm just not into the idea now." Behind that statement sits a practical detail. A full sprint car championship push demands somewhere between 80 and 90 races a year, on top of a full 36-race Cup Series schedule, a combined workload Larson is no longer willing to take on at this stage of his life. The real explanation behind that decision comes from his own home. Larson has 3 children, Owen, Audrey, and Cooper, and all 3 are now building their own racing careers on short tracks around the country, following closely in their father's footsteps. Audrey recently won at Port City Raceway. Owen won at Millbridge Speedway. His kids are becoming the racers he once dreamed of being himself, and staying present for those moments has become the real driving force behind his changed mindset. more than any trophy still left to chase on a dirt oval. But here's where the story gets complicated. Back in February, Larson signed a 5-year contract extension with Hendrick Motorsports, locking him in through 2031, years beyond the very age he once used as his exit marker in 2018. If 40 was supposed to mark his goodbye to full-time racing, the timeline raises an obvious question. Why sign a deal that commits him years past that number? That contradiction hasn't been explained by Larson or by the team in any public statement, and it isn't going away quietly as the season continues to play out. Meanwhile, the uncertainty around his current season is playing out in real time across the internet. On Reddit, fans have been debating whether Larson can even win again in 2026, adding a second layer of tension underneath his retirement comments. A user named Puzzle-Headed Phil629 wrote, "He'll be fine. They'll figure something out and either win or won't." Another user, Bananailgun, pointed out that Larson has led 569 laps so far this season, second only to Denny Hamlin, and added, he will win at least one race in 2026. A third user, Fantasy Factory, predicted he'd get 1 or 2 at tracks he's really good at, while admitting, the Chevys are just getting gut-punched by the Toyotas this year. The debate didn't stay contained to Reddit. On X, insiders and fans weighed in with their own interpretations of what Larson actually meant by his comments. Matt Weaver clarified what the moment was, saying, Larson's comments weren't a retirement announcement, they were a long-term life update. Bob Pockras echoed that framing, noting that Larson clarified that age 40 is a checkpoint, not a deadline. Dale Earnhardt Jr. offered a more personal read, saying, when your kids start racing, your perspective changes fast. I totally understand where Larson is coming from. One fan account pushed back on the panic entirely, arguing, people are acting like Larson is leaving tomorrow. He literally has a contract through 2031. Larson himself hasn't closed the door on any interpretation. In his own words, I just feel like I have a really good balance in my schedule this year, and I'm enjoying that. But you never know, and 6 or 7 years down the road, things might change. That statement leaves the core question wide open. Is this really about family? Or is it a champion quietly preparing fans for an ending he hasn't fully admitted to himself yet, even in his own mind? Right now, there's no resolution. There's a loyal company man locked into Hendrick Motorsports through 2031, with years of commitment still ahead of him on paper. And there's a father who might walk away the moment his kids need him more than the racetrack does, regardless of what any contract says. Both versions exist at the same time, and only Larson knows which one is closer to the truth as the 2026 season continues to unfold week after week. This story is still developing, and there's more to unpack as the season plays out in the coming months. Drop your take in the comments, and share this with another NASCAR fan who needs to see it. If you enjoy real NASCAR breakdowns like this, you'll like what's coming next.